Today we're going to be making little turtle egg covers. Take the egg and hide it inside. And we're going to be making this medium size one. The PDF has ones for 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 8 centimeter eggs. And we're going to be focusing on the regular size 6 centimeter egg one here. To make our medium size turtle, we're going to need our G 4mm hook, tapestry needles, our scissors, about 10 yards of our sand color or the color you want to use for the shell, and about 10 yards of a green color or the color you want to use for the head, feet, and tail. If you're working on the small size from the PDF, you'll also want a D 3mm hook. We'll need a rubber band or an elastic band for the bottom. We'll need a little bit of fluff for the head, some safety eyes, between 6mm and 12mm for the eyes. You could also use buttons for the eyes or googly eyes for the eyes, which you'll also need a hot glue gun if you are using the googly eyes. We'll need a few inches of black or whatever color you want to do the mouth in as well. And then we will need our egg. So we have 4 centimeters, 6 centimeters, and 8 centimeters. So for today, we'll need the 6 centimeter, which is a regular Easter egg. Start with our shell color. And we're gonna do a foundation row. And so for our row 1, we're gonna do a half double crochet foundation row of 7. So at the end of row 1, we will have 7 crochets. And for that foundation stitch, slip it through, chain 1, and then pull through for the rest of the foundation row. And there is another little video that shows how to do a half double crochet foundation row if you should need more instruction. For our round 2, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to be working in the back loops only for our round 2. So we're going to half double crochet 7. And when we make it to the end of row 1, we're going to continue to work around. So we're going to do 2 half double crochets in the top part of our row into the sidebar, and then we're going to continue working 7 half double crochets down the bottom part of our row 1. And then for the last part of our round 2, we're going to half double crochet 3 into the bottom side of our, or into the sidebars of our round 1. So for round 2, we're then gonna slip stitch to join, and we pull that last stitch tight so it doesn't look like another stitch. And we have 19 half double crochets for our round. We're then going to chain 1. And for our round 3 and 4, we're not going to be doing any turning. We're going to be doing a camel stitch, which is working this 3rd loop. So we have our front loop, back loop, and our 3rd loop of our half double crochet. And we're going to half double crochet 19 around. And then when we make it back to our first stitch, we're going to slip stitch to join. And again, pull that stitch tight. And you can see by working the camel stitch or working in the third loop, it pushes that front loop and back loop forward just to give it a textural look. Our round 4, we're going to chain 1. We're not going to turn, and we're going to do the same thing, doing that camel stitch all the way around. So 19 half double crochets. For round 5, we're going to chain. We're not going to turn, and we're going to be working in the back loops only for this one. So we're going to half double crochet 7, and then in the next 2 we're gonna half double crochet 2 together, so tog together, and then we're gonna half double crochet the rest of the way around, so for 10 more half double crochets. And at the end of our round 5 we are going to have 18 half double crochets. And then the same with the previous rounds. We're going to slip stitch to join, pulling that slip stitch tight. For round 6, we're going to chain 1, and we're going to turn this time. And we're going to be working the camel stitch again, so that third loop is going to be the closest loop to you this time. So we're going to turn, and we're going to half double crochet in that third loop for 3 stitches. And on this third stitch, we're going to take our contrasting color, our feet, head, and tail color. We're going to pull our last loop of that third stitch through with our new color. We're still going to be working in that third loop, only with this new color we're going to do a puff stitch. And we're going to loop 6 times, so that's 1, pull over, pull a loop through.
For 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And we're going to take our shell color for our last yarn over and pull through all loops. So for our color change again. And then we're going to go back to our half double crochet camel stitches. So we're going to half double crochet in the next 4. And on this 4th half double crochet, we're color changing again. So for the last yarn over, pull a loop through. We do that with our change of color. And again, a puff stitch with 6 loops.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And then color change again. Pulling our shell color through. And we're going to half double crochet 3. So pull our loop through. And our puff stitch. Color change to do our next 4 half double crochets. And our last color change for our foot color and our last puff stitch. And color change back to our shell color. And then we're just going to slip stitch to join our round. And you can see our little puff stitches. Make it so we have our little feet. After you cut and tie off your feet color, we're going to chain 1 and turn. And this time we're gonna crochet into our rubber band. So we have our elastic band. and we are going to single crochet around. So we're gonna through and through our rubber band. So we're gonna loop over and around the band for our single crochet. We're gonna loop in and around our rubber band, and we're gonna do that all the way around. So we're gonna have 18 single crochets at the end of our round 7 for our medium-sized turtle cover. Then we're gonna slip stitch into our last stitch, and we're gonna cut and tie and weave off our shell color. So now we have the first part of our turtle, our shell. And you can go and push your puff stitches out, make them more prominent. And then we're gonna set our shell off to the side for a moment while we make our other parts. With our tail color, we're going to make our slip knot and then chain 5. And then in the second back bump from the hook, we're going to slip stitch and then single crochet, half double crochet, and then a double crochet. And then we're gonna cut and tie, leaving a bit of a tail for us to tie our tail onto our turtle. And we're gonna go about 13, 14 stitches. And our tail has this kind of natural curve to it, so we want our tail to point up. So the bottom part, gonna loop through close to our little legs, and then the next part will loop through. And on the inside of our shell, we can secure our tail on. And now our turtle has a little tail. Next, we're gonna make the head for our turtle. We're gonna start with a magic ring. And inside our magic ring, we are going to single crochet 6. I'm gonna pull our magic ring shut, and then we're gonna slip stitch to join. Pull that slip stitch tight, and we're going to chain 1 and turn. And we're going to increase each stitch around. So we're going to do 2 single crochets 6 times for a total of 12 single crochets for our round 2. When we make it back to our first stitch, we're going to slip stitch to join. Pull that stitch tight. Gonna chain 1 and turn. For round 3 and round 4, we're going to single crochet around. So round 3, we'll have 12 single crochets. At the end of round 3, we're going to slip stitch to join. Chain 1, turn. In round 4, we're gonna do 12 single crochets. End of round 4, we're gonna slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn. For round 5, we're gonna increase. So we're gonna do 2 single crochets in that first stitch. And then we're gonna do 10 single crochets. And then we're gonna increase again, so 2 single crochets in that last stitch, and then slip stitch to join. So we have 14 single crochets at the end of round 5. Round 6, we're gonna chain 1, turn, and we're gonna single crochet 14 around. And at the end of our round 6, we're gonna slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn. And for round 7, we're gonna do an increase stitch. So 2 single crochets. And then we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches. And then we're gonna do decrease stitches, and we're gonna do that 4 times. So single crochet 2 together. And then we're gonna single crochet 1 in the next 2 stitches. And in that last stitch, we're gonna do another increase stitch, so 2 single crochets in that stitch. And then we're gonna slip stitch to join. I'm gonna chain 1 and turn. We have 12 stitches at the end of round 7, and for round 8, we're going to do 4 single crochets, and then we're gonna single crochet 2 together 2 times, followed by 4 more single crochets. At the end of round 8, we will have 10 single crochets. I'm gonna slip stitch to join, chain 1 and turn, and we're going to slip stitch. Let's see, slip stitch in the next 2 stitches. And then we're going to single crochet 1, and then single crochet 2 together 2 times, single crochet 1, followed by a slip stitch and slip stitch to join. So 8 stitches total for round 9. For round 10, we're going to chain 1 and turn, and we're going to single crochet around. So 8 single crochets for our round 10. And when we get to the end of our round 10, we're going to slip stitch to join, and we're gonna cut and tie, leaving a long tail to sew our head onto our shell. We're then gonna place our safety eyes. We're gonna put them in about round 5, and our eyes are gonna be about 4 or 5 stitches apart. Where we did those decrease stitches, those are the middle front of our head. So you can place your eyes where you would like them to be. Once our eyes are secured, we can begin to put fluff into the head, and you can stuff as firmly as you would like. We're then going to take our tapestry needle to sew our head onto the shell. Can be helpful to place your egg inside your shell when you're sewing your head on. So we're going to go in the middle of the 2 feet between rounds 2 and 4 for the head. to help your turtle so he's not looking down at the ground. And so he's looking a little bit straight up. We're going to go into about round 2, and we're going to go through our round 1. And we're going to do a couple tags. So our turtle will be looking up. And then we're going to tie off and weave in our ends. Another option that you can do as well to give this little ridge a little more prominence is to weave through those front single crochets together and just give them a little bit more secure support by weaving through and pulling your stitches just a little bit tighter. The last part of the turtle, we're going to take our black and we're going to embroider on a mouth. So we'll go to the side of the eye, 1 to 2 rows down. I'll go straight across so we're in the same area. Pull it slightly firm, and then we're going to go slightly below, and we're going to pull this down just a little bit to give our turtle a smile. And you can do 1 or 2 times around, depending on how thick you want your smile to be embroidered. And once you get it looking how you want it to, tie it off and weave in your ends. Thank you for making these little turtles with me. Hope you enjoy them.